what is the true cost of a bad sales hire? I mean, it's not just the recruiter
It's
snare.
not even close.
Yeah, it's the dead pipeline, the burned leads, and, the 6 months of management time you're literally never getting back.
Exactly. It's brutal.
But what if I told you there was a way to guarantee a 98% success rate every single time you fill a seat?
I mean, in the world of B2B sales, where turnover is just notoriously high, a 98% success rate sounds like, well, it sounds like a rounding error or flat out science fiction to most hiring managers.
Totally.
But it is entirely possible. You just have to stop optimizing for speed and start optimizing for alignment.
Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to today's deep dive. We are talking directly to you, the sales leaders, the hiring managers, and the executives out there who are carrying those massive revenue targets for your organization.
The ones losing sleep over their forecasts.
Right. Our mission today is to fundamentally rethink how you build powerful sales teams. We want to move away from those panicked, short-term fixes and toward a real blueprint for long-term sales success.
Which is so needed right now.
It really is. And we are pulling our insights today from Win Nathan Davis's article, Why Great Recruitment is Measured in Years, Not Placements, along with the methodology behind an organization known as the Sales Experts.
Yeah, and to really understand why the current system is failing so badly, we kind of have to look at the genesis of almost every hiring mistake in the corporate world.
Which is?
It is the universal trap of the empty seat.
Ah, yes, the empty seat syndrome. Because, hiring almost never starts from a place of calm, strategic reflection.
Almost never. Usually it's total chaos.
Exactly. A top-performing enterprise rep suddenly resigns, or, the board bumps up the quarterly revenue targets by 20%, and suddenly you have an entirely new territory to carve out.
Right. The trigger is always an immediate, high-stakes business need.
And the natural reflex in those scenarios is just speed.
Right.
Like, the vacancy becomes this glaring red number on the VP's forecast.
Oh, yeah. The focus narrows instantly. It's all about finding a warm body who can step into that role and just stop the bleeding as quickly as possible.
But I have to push back here just to play devil's advocate for a second,
Sure.
because I want to represent the very real pressure our listeners are facing every day.
It's intense pressure.
It is. Like, if my pipeline is drying up and my competitors are circling my best accounts and I have a vacancy in a tier 1 territory, I need a closer now.
Right.
Isn't prioritizing long-term alignment kind of a luxury for a slow quarter? When revenue targets are looming, refusing a perfectly good candidate who can start on Monday just because you weren't sure about their 5-year fit, that feels like refusing a perfectly good Band-Aid because you're worried about the scar. It feels like career suicide.
No, I get it. And what's fascinating here is that the pressure is undeniable.
Right.
No one is suggesting you leave a territory fallow for a year while you search for some mythical unicorn candidate.
Okay, good. Because nobody has time for that.
Exactly. But solving today's forecasting problem by just filling a seat overlooks the actual mechanical reality of B2B sales. You aren't just buying a set of skills off a shelf. You are inserting a human being into a really complex, moving ecosystem.
But, they might know Salesforce inside out. They might have a really slick, standard pitch.
Sure, they might have the technical skills for day one, but if they don't align with the leadership style of their new regional director or, the aggressive pace of growth.
Or the specific way your company goes to market.
Exactly. If they don't have that alignment, that speed you prioritize becomes entirely irrelevant because you're going to be right back to square one in a matter of months.
That's the worst.
And this time you have the added damage of all the missteps they made while they were in the seat.
Which perfectly brings us to a really telling lesson from the author's time doing internal recruitment at Phones For You.
Oh, this is a great example.
It completely shatters the illusion that a great CV equals a great hire.
It really does. It's a scenario literally any seasoned hiring manager has lived through. You're sitting there looking at two candidates, and their CVs are just nearly identical.
Like clones.
Exactly. They went to the same caliber of university. They have similar tenures at respected competitors.
Their past quota achievements look completely comparable on paper.
Right. So if you are just doing a keyword matching exercise with HR, they both get an offer.
That's not what happens.
No. One of those candidates comes into the business, gains immediate traction, navigates the internal politics effortlessly, and becomes a top-performing future leader.
And the other one?
The other candidate, with the exact same on-paper qualifications, struggles from week 2. They can't seem to get the gears to catch, their deals stall out in procurement, and they eventually churn.
See, here's where it gets really interesting. It's exactly like buying two identical smartphones.
Oh, I love this analogy.
Right. Because you look at the hardware specs on the box, and that is the CV. They both have the same processor, the same memory, the same camera. Everything looks great.
On the outside, yeah.
But one of them has a corrupted operating system. The underlying OS is their cultural alignment and their adaptability, and that completely dictates their actual performance.
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't matter how fast the processor is, if the software crashes every single time it tries to connect to your specific network.
That operating system is the differentiator. The divergence between those two identical CVs at Phones 4U had nothing to do with their past sales experience.
It was all about alignment.
Exactly. Did they genuinely share the company's values?
Yeah.
Did they believe in the strategic direction the business was heading? And crucially, could they adapt as the organization evolved?
Because enterprise sales roles are literally never static.
Never.
Markets change overnight. A competitor drops a new feature or, a regulatory shift alters your buyer's priorities.
But your own product roadmap pivots entirely.
Right. And the salespeople who actually progress from senior account executive up to director level roles, they are the ones who can adapt to those tectonic shifts.
And when executives focus purely on a static resume and past performance metrics, which, by the way, can easily be massaged.
Oh, absolutely. Or it could just be the result of a really level territory.
Exactly. When you focus on that, you are flying completely blind to a candidate's future potential.
So if retention is the only metric that truly matters, that kind of invalidates the standard job interview.
It really does.
Let's look at the dark side of this. What actually happens operationally when a VP of sales ignores this operating system mismatch, gives in to the pressure of the empty seat, and just hires the wrong person anyway?
Well, the consequences usually manifest in the dreaded 6 to 9 month turnover window.
Yes. That specific time frame is such a glaring red flag in our industry.
It really is. It is the classic indicator that expectations were just not aligned from day one.
Like they get through onboarding and then the wheels fall off.
Right. Either the culture wasn't the right fit, or the candidate lacked the necessary resilience, or, and this happens a lot, the hiring manager misrepresented the maturity of the product during the interview.
Oh, the old fake it till you make it on the product roadmap.
Exactly. And the damage of that 6 to 9 month churn goes so far beyond just writing off the recruiter's fee.
Yeah, we aren't just talking about wasted HR paperwork here. We are talking about severe operational drag.
Yeah.
I mean, you've burned 3 months of your sales enablement team's bandwidth.
Yep.
Your regional managers have been pulled into endless ride-alongs trying to resuscitate failing deals.
And in B2B sales specifically, the damage is exponential. A poor hire doesn't just leave an empty desk when they inevitably resign. They leave massive pipeline gaps.
Which takes quarters to rebuild.
Exactly. They represent hundreds of thousands of dollars in missed revenue opportunities that your competitors just swept right up.
Oh, that hurts.
And worst of all, they can burn Tier 1 client relationships or botch complex stakeholder engagements that might take your organization years to recover from.
So this raises a really big question for me. If the financial and operational costs of a bad hire are this catastrophic, why are recruitment agencies popping champagne over placements?
Because of how they're paid.
Right. If an offer is accepted and the candidate shows up on Monday, the agency's job is done, the invoice is paid, aren't they celebrating a completely fabricated metric of success?
This raises an important question, and it's something we really need to look at. They are mathematically incentivized to celebrate the wrong metric.
Wow.
Once that brief guarantee period ends, which is usually, 60 to 90 days?
Yeah, usually 90 days max.
Right. Once that ends, the agency's risk drops to absolute zero. Meanwhile, the VP of sales is just starting to realize the new hire cannot actually navigate a complex 6-month procurement cycle.
So the agency wins and the company loses.
Exactly. And this is central to the philosophy of the sales experts. Placements are incredibly easy to measure, and they generate agency revenue. But they are a vanity metric.
Retention is the only true indicator of recruitment success.
Retention and long-term performance. True value is created when a hire joins the business, performs consistently, adapts to new market pressures, and becomes a key contributor to business growth years down the line. That is true sales success.
Okay, so we know what's broken. We know the astronomical cost of getting it wrong. Let's move into the solution.
Let's do it.
I want to break down the actual blueprint for long-term sales success. How do you systematically measure and hire for this elusive long-term fit without just relying on, a gut feeling after a coffee chat?
Well, the first step is a radical mindset shift. You have to stop treating recruitment as a matching exercise between a job description and a candidate's LinkedIn profile.
Okay, so what are we looking for instead?
You have to actively hunt for traits that do not fit neatly onto a resume. Things like curiosity, resilience, adaptability, commercial awareness.
Leadership potential.
Yes, and learning agility.
Wait, let's pause on that list for a second.
Sure.
Because anyone can claim they are resilient in an interview. Anyone can say, oh yeah, I have great commercial awareness. How do you actually test for those traits without relying on self-reporting?
It's tough.
Right. Like if I ask a candidate about a time they overcame a challenge, they are just going to give me a highly rehearsed STAR method answer that they practiced in the mirror.
And that is exactly where standard interviewing falls completely apart. To uncover the truth, you have to use structured methodologies.
Okay.
This is where the systems utilized by the sales experts come into play. Specifically, there's Sales Hunter Intelligence Evaluation and the 5-stage sales team scaling system.
Those sound intense.
They are.
Yeah.
These aren't just your standard personality tests. They are rigorous behavioral frameworks designed to probe the mechanics of how a person thinks and operates.
Okay, let's break down the mechanics then. What does the Sales Hunter Intelligence Evaluation actually do in practice? Like if I'm a candidate taking this.
So it doesn't just ask you if you are resilient. It puts you in situational frameworks that analyze your past deals, specifically the ones that went sideways.
Oh, I like that. Digging into the failures.
Exactly. It probes their cognitive responses to pressure. Like when a key champion at a target account suddenly left, how did the candidate rebuild consensus?
Right. Did they panic or did they pivot?
Exactly. Or when a competitor undercut their pricing by 20% at the 11th hour, how did they articulate total cost of ownership to defend the margin?
So you are testing their actual commercial acumen.
Yes. Do they actually understand how your product impacts the client's P&L, or are they just, a feature pitcher?
That makes a lot of sense. You are looking for the underlying mechanics of their thought process. But I have to play devil's advocate again here, specifically regarding past success.
And for it.
Let's say a rep just absolutely crushed a $5 million quota at a massive legacy tech company. My instinct as a hiring manager is to say, great, bring that exact magic over to my Series B startup. But based on what we're saying, that feels incredibly risky.
It is highly risky.
Yeah.
Because you are assuming their success is entirely self-contained.
Right. It's exactly like an organ transplant.
Oh, that's a visceral analogy.
Hear me out. You can harvest a perfectly healthy, high-performing kidney, which is the top salesperson at company A.
Yeah.
But if the tissue types don't match the new host body, the immune system rejects it.
That is so true.
Right. If the culture, the internal processes, and the market positioning at company B aren't identical to company A, that top performer is going to fail, no matter how good the kidney was originally.
That is a phenomenal way to look at it. The tissue type in this scenario is the sales environment. And the fundamental error most hiring managers make is looking at the quota attainment without obsessively assessing the ecosystem where that success was actually achieved.
So how do the frameworks within the 5-stage sales team scaling system address this environmental mismatch? Like how do they check the tissue type?
By mapping the ecosystem before you ever even look at a candidate. You have to evaluate the buyer profiles they were previously dealing with.
Like who they were actually talking to.
Exactly. Were they selling to technical end users or were they pitching to the C-suite? What did their sales cycles look like? Was it a highly transactional 30-day close or a complex 18-month consultative process?
And what about pipeline generation? Because to me, that has to be the biggest hidden variable.
It is the absolute biggest variable. You have to interrogate their lead generation responsibility.
Did they have help or were they on their own?
Right. Did they have a massive, well-funded marketing engine and a dedicated team of SDRs feeding them warm, inbound appointments all day? Or were they operating in a true outbound hunter role building lists from scratch, cold calling, and basically creating their own pipeline out of thin air?
Because if you take an inbound closer who's used to having leads handed to them and put them in a pure outbound hunter role, they're going to starve to death.
They will starve, and they will churn within 6 months, regardless of how good their closing skills are.
Yeah.
You also have to look at brand equity. Selling for an established Fortune 500 company, where the client already trusts the logo on your business card, is a completely different commercial behavior than selling for an unknown startup, where you have to build organizational trust from absolute zero.
So when you understand all the factors behind their past success, rather than just looking at the raw performance figures on a page, you can actually predict whether they will replicate that success in your specific environment.
Exactly.
You are looking for the software compatibility, the tissue match.
And when you utilize these methodologies, when you map the environment, test for cognitive adaptability, and align the hire with the long-term strategic goals of the business, you stop desperately filling vacancies. You start engineering a scalable revenue engine.
That is powerful.
That is how you reach a 98% success rate.
Wow. This is a complete paradigm shift for anyone stuck in that frantic cycle of replace and repeat. And we want you, the listener, to leave this deep dive with actionable strategies you can implement the very next time a territory opens up on your team. So we've distilled today's discussion down to 3 core takeaways.
Number 1, stop treating hiring as a CV matching exercise.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't. Technical skills and past quota attainment are just the baseline. You must aggressively prioritize adaptability, resilience, and commercial awareness if you want a candidate who can evolve as your market shifts.
Spot on. Number 2, shift your metrics immediately. You have to stop measuring your recruitment success by how quickly you fill an empty seat or how many placements an agency makes.
Vanity metrics.
Exactly. You need to measure success by retention, quota consistency over time, and leadership progression within your organization.
And number 3, when evaluating a candidate, you must dig into the environment of their past success.
The tissue match.
The tissue match. Don't just look at the numbers. You have to understand the sales cycles, the buyer profiles, the brand equity they leveraged, and the exact lead generation responsibilities they had to manage to get there. Ensure those tissue types match before you attempt the transplant.
If you want to build a truly powerful sales team and learn how to actually implement these long-term strategies, you need to visit thesalesexperts.com. Go check out their methodologies, look at the Sales Hunter Intelligence Evaluation, and see how they can fundamentally transform your hiring process from a desperate gamble into a proven science.
And as we wrap up today's deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought to just sort of mull over.
Let's hear it.
Think about the absolute top-performing salespeople in your organization right now, the ones truly carrying the revenue load. Did you honestly hire them for the rigid technical skills they possessed on their very first day? Or did they succeed because they had the underlying potential and the adaptability to shape the future of your business in year 3 and beyond?
That is the true measure of sales success. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep scaling, keep adapting, and we'll catch you next time.